Hello, beautiful people. My name is Farley Sweet, and I am here today to read you Scary Godmother, Crucial Identity, a story by Tommy Dickles. Before I begin, I'm just going to warn you that I am illiterate, so I'm going to just be guessing the symbols I'm looking at on the screen, and hopefully I won't pronounce anything too wrong, but be prepared. And secondly, whatever messages may be in this story are um, not necessarily advocated by Neo Scary Godmother. This is a fictitious work meant for viewer interpretation. So you can judge this how you will, but just don't think anyone endorses this thoroughly or completely. Now with that, I will begin. It was a bright, sunny day in late June. Jimmy invited his three best friends over for the usual get-together of playing video games and picking out on potato chips. Today they played an obscure game that required exactly 4 players to function. It's called Pump and Jump. One player pumps the cart and the other jumps? Katie slowly read the cover art of the video game box. That's kind of... Yeah, said Jimmy, untangling his controllers. My grandpa bought it for me. The least we can do is just play it and see what it's worth. I'm down, said Katie, snagging the beanbag chair from Darryl, whom is her boyfriend. All right, so who's gonna play with who? Said Jimmy, handing each and every one a controller. How about we switch it up for a change? Said Bert. Hey, Darryl, how's about you and me team up and kick some major butt? Bert patted Darryl on the back. Darryl slowly moved his shoulder away. Hey, that's a good idea, said Katie. That way, our skill levels are, for the most part, equal. Exactly. Me and Daryl's skills are basically the same. Katie blows all of us out of the park, so Jimmy's lesser than normal skills will balance it out. Jimmy looked at Bert with an angry look. He rolled his eyes and glanced at the other way. He then looked and smirked. I neither confirm nor deny that. I'd rather not, said Darryl, scratching the back of his head. Don't be such a jelly-belly, said Katie, poking Darryl. Bert and Jimmy snickered. Darryl sat there, not once moving his face. I'm not... whatever. Darryl gave a dirty glance over at Bert. Not one caught it other than Jimmy. Jimmy didn't think anything of it, so he just shrugged and pressed start. The gang was welcomed with bright green screen of absolute green. It was nothing but green. Ah, the game's probably scratched up. That explains why my grandma got it so cheap. Jimmy sighed. Well, we'll just tell her we had fun with it and jumped a lot. Everyone chuckled and Darryl forced a laugh out. You okay, man? You seem tense. Everything all right at home? Asked Bert. Yeah, said Darryl. Okay, said Bert. I gotta go home early anyways, Darryl. So Darryl went home. The remaining 3 placed Smash Pumpkin 4 on the Feeboo gaming system. Everyone headed home. On the way home, Bert decided to call Darryl to check up on him. Everything all right, buddy? Asked Bert. Yes, I'm busy. Bye. Bert frowned and stared at his phone. He thought to himself on what he could have possibly done to anger Darryl. In fact, he's been ignoring him more and more as time went on. They could never seem to get along. Darryl always avoided Bert. Come to think of it, he's never even been to his house. Jimmy and Katie have been, heck, even Hannah. Why hasn't Bert been to Darryl's house yet? He decided to head there first thing in the morning. He could hardly sleep. He didn't like the thought of angering one of his best friends. He woke up drowsy but ready to confront Darryl. He got on his bike and rode down to Darryl's house. His bike halted when he noticed that Darryl's home was 3 times the size of his. His eyes widened in amazement. Why did Darryl not want me to see this house? Bert shrugged it off and walked up to the gate. He rung the doorbell. The butler answered with a scoff. Sorry, the Strife family is out today. Please come back tomorrow. So the butler hung up. Bert heard laughter coming from the house to do a window being open. Bert knew this obnoxious laughter. It was Darryl's. Bert shrugged and hopped the fence. He walked up to the front door and knocked. You locked yourself out again?" said Darrell. "All right, I'm coming." Darrell opened the door, and to his surprise it was Bert. "Who let you in? I mean, how did you get in?" "I let myself in," said Bert. "I knew you were home. I'm sorry for intruding, but I couldn't help but notice you've been trying to avoid me lately." "Did I do something?" asked Bert. Darrell's face frowned, and he shook his head. "You want to know the truth? Do you really want to know? You really want the truth?" Bert sighed and shook his head. "Listen, I just want to know. Just tell me, okay?" Darrell slammed the door wide open. He clenched his fist and pointed at Bert. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "I will not repeat myself after this! I will only say this once! Bert Kazuma, I hate black people! I don't know how to put it any more bluntly! Get out!" Bert's eyes widened and he gasped. "What? What? What the fuck, man? I thought you were my buddy." Darrell chuckled. "Huh. Nice joke. As if I'd be friends with a Bert mistake. The only reason I tolerated you for this long is so I could get into that Katie bitch's pants. But she refused the great Darrell, and I dumped her ass." Bert tilted his head. "Honestly, I'm kind of offended right now. I don't even know how to handle this." Bert turned around. "I'm just gonna go home." "No. No one of your kind leaves the Strife household alive!" Darrell pulled out of his pocket a pocket knife and charged at Bert. "Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?" shouted Bert, dodging Darrell's incoming jab. "All right, you asked for it, asshole." Bert placed his baseball bag onto the ground and pulled out his bat. He charged at Darrell and smacked his knife out of his hand. "Enough, man. You know you can't win," said Bert. I didn't want it to have to come to this." Darrell pressed a button hidden in his fancy coat pocket. The entire Strife estate slowly turned dark as a large metallic dome covered it and its entirety. The entire sky was blocked out. The sun was out of sight. What is this?" asked Bert. "I thought it was obvious. It's to keep you in to ensure your disposal." Darrell clapped, and a series of butlers ran down the stairs holding katanas and Tommy guns. They began to shoot at Bert, but Bert hid behind the walls. "Oh shit, I'm fucked," said Bert, running away to safer grounds. He ran to the shed. He searched around and panicked for a tool to use to defend himself. Lying neatly on the wall was a nail gun. He quickly grabbed it and nailed the shed door shut to buy him time. He gathered materials throughout the shed to upgrade his nail gun to be just as effective as a pistol. Once he was finished, the doors to the shed were busted down. He didn't hesitate to fire straight at the butler's skulls. He finished off the butlers and rushed back to the Strife household, but not before grabbing one of those sweet katanas the butler had. He busted down the doors and shouted, "Darrell!" Darrell sat on his chair, reading a book under candlelight. He slowly got up and stared at Bert with disgust. "Don't you know it's rude to shout someone's name?" Bert rushed at Darrell with full force and punched Darrell directly in the nose, sending Darrell flying back into the bookshelf, causing it all to tumble down onto him. Darrell leaped up out of the toppled bookcase and held a box in his hand. He grabbed the butler near him and put a knife to his throat. "Do you want to know what's in this box, Bert?" "What? Baseball cards?" Bert looked at the camera and smiled. "No. It's something that will give me power to kill you instantly." Darrow opened the box and pulled out a stone mask. He shoved the knife into the butler's throat, and the blood poured onto the mask. "I reject my humanity!" He placed the mask onto his face, and the mask extended its spikes and lodged into Darrow's skull. Darrow fell back and began to bleed out from his skull. His body began to rumble and shake. Bert walked over to Darrow with caution. In an instant, Darrow stood up, and the mask fell to the floor. Darrow grinned and revealed his vampiric teeth. "Oh, fuck! This white boy isn't human anymore. Good thing I watched JoJo, so I know how to deal with this little bitch. So Bert began rushing towards the household's kitchen, with Daryl tailing him. Bert quickly opened the fridge and pulled out Sunny Delight, and gulped it down with one swoop. Suddenly, his body was filled with the power of the sun as Bert's body glowed with a blinding light. Daryl hissed at Bert. He pulled out several knives and jumped in the air. He shouted, "Zawado! Tokin wano tame!" Suddenly time froze. Bert was unable to unleash his ripple attack. Foolish Bert! As if I didn't expect you to use something as simple as a shaman. I expected he didn't know of my stance ability. Time to make you pay for your own stupidity. Daryl threw the knives and launched them at Bert. Bert wasn't there. "Nani?" shouted Daryl. "Daryl?" Bert poked Daryl on the shoulder. "I have a stand too. Kuwabara!" Suddenly, a large figure appeared behind Daryl. "What?" "Kuwabara Zawado!" shouted Bert. Suddenly, time froze for Daryl. "Oh, fuck muffins!" said Daryl, so Bert unleashed his ultimate ripple attack, causing Daryl's body to disintegrate. Bert set the house on fire and slashed open a hole to escape the dome. He walked home with a bottle of Sunny D in hand. The Thank you for listening. I am Farley Sweet. This is a Tommy Deagle story. You've been you. Please consider liking, subscribing, sharing. It really helps me out. And have a scary godtastic evening or morning, wherever you are. This doesn't really matter where you are. Just have a good day.